Good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday so far. I already see some people in the chat, which is fantastic. April, Alana. Alana, I hope I'm saying your name right. If not, it is Alana. But I hope you are having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. I will be your host today. I am Brywin. Jordan is traveling. So those who've been here before, I'm going to be a familiar face. If you're new here, I do oversee our unified department, which is TikTok Shop and D2C. So we'll give everyone a moment here to come and join us, and then we'll kick things off. Yes, Alana, you will be able to go to YouTube, X, Twitter, everywhere, and be able to find this recording. So not to worry, we will make sure that you get that. And today we're going to be covering a really exciting topic with it's really what I'm kind of considering TikTok Shop's glow up, of course. So we'll give everyone a moment here, and I like to kick things off with just asking where everyone is from. It's always interesting for us where people are tuning in from. I myself am in shockingly beautiful and sunny Nova Scotia, Canada. Alana, you're in Austin, Texas. Oh, we have a couple people from Austin, Texas. We have quite a few team members based there. Love, love, love Texas. Oh, Ed, very nice. Iowa, Louisville. I'm seeing a lot of new names in the chat today, which is fantastic. Sometimes I get to see people that join these webinars frequently. So wonderful. Great to have everyone here. So without further ado, we are going to get into the presentation today. We will pick and choose questions throughout, depending on how much time we have, just so that way we can address things as they pop up, but we will leave some time towards the end. Typically, it's about 20 to 30 minutes to answer any questions, but please use the chat functionality if you're live with us in Riverside right now to leave some questions. So Larissa is going to be my lovely conductor of the screen today, just because my computer is a little slow on the screen share. So let's talk about it. Today, we're covering some of the new things in TikTok Shop and very practically speaking, what they mean, some of the watch outs to look out for, and some of the things that we're seeing for our own clients that we've had to kind of overcome, and we want to share those learnings with you. So a couple of big differences right now is we're seeing TikTok Shop really get out of its sort of infancy of viral affiliate chaos and really leaning more into this algorithmic retail infrastructure. So it's becoming more robust. It's not as much of the wild, wild west as it used to be. So a couple of things that we're going to be talking about today are trust and how important that is from creators and the content to the shop itself, the conversion quality, account health, creator professionalism, that one is key, as well as how to turn this channel into a sustainable commerce channel for your brand. Larissa, if you want to jump to the next slide, thank you. So here's just a quick recap of the old TikTok Shop playbook versus the new. So the old model, mass affiliate seeding, and I'm talking just crazy seeding, crazy sending out samples, not being really too pick and choosy about who you send your samples and products to, with infinite creator outreach, really leaning into the volume posting for these viral spikes and hoping that you hit gold. Low cost creator spam. I think we've all seen this, the creators that post a simple video saying, I don't know what this is, but it was a free sample. We're seeing a lot of that. So talking about how we're going to really negate that effect and optimizing for short-term GMV. We want this to be a sustainable channel, a gold rush that keeps on giving and not a one-hit wonder. So the new model is creating a quality creator ecosystem, having trust-driven commerce, having structured affiliate systems, conversion efficiency, and long-term platform health. So here's some changes that are coming. I think everyone is probably familiar at this point with the creator health rating. It's the system that TikTok uses to assign, on the creator side of things, whether or not their creator account is healthy, whether or not they have that trust score. And TikTok is really putting a lot more emphasis on this, which is fantastic for brands because now instead of pretty much 100% of the accountability being put on the brand's plate, it's now shifting. So it's shared between creators and brands. So it's now a lot more dynamic, a lot more nuanced. And this is something that we're focusing on. And I highly recommend you guys focus on as well. So what are they rewarding with this CHR or creator health rating? They're rating compliance. Are you following the rules? Are you avoiding those violations? Are you giving accurate product representation? This is very, very important. I think anybody who has been involved in influencer marketing and creator commerce from early days on Instagram to now has all worked with creators that misrepresent the brands, misrepresent the claims, and that trust is often then reflected back on the brand. And consumers are going to think that you're sketchy and you're shady because a creator is putting forth sketchy and shady comments, representation, etc. Consistent conversions and successful orders. This is important. Are they consistently driving sales, or are they mass posting and not really driving any revenue, any GMV? Live quality and authentic recommendations. So we are seeing this movement where a lot of creators are now dabbling at lives. We're seeing very good, very awesome versions of this where creators that do live selling know how to do it properly. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have creators going live that are getting off topic. They're focusing on something other than the product, and they're really just using it for a spotlight for themselves. And then long-term ecosystem value. Are they driving consistent sales? Are they creating content that is elevating brands and really allowing them to really grow on the platform? Or is it just more noise? So against that, what are they looking at and giving, I'll say, lower marks to? Spam posting and duplicate creative. We've all seen this 1,010,000 times where the same creator is going to make the same post over and over and over and over again, and that's not helpful. Or if they're making spam content where it's misleading in the sense that they're going to promote your product, they mention it, but then they go off on some kind of tirade and it's just not related. Misleading claims and fake urgency. This is important, and this is not just claims about your product and what it can do, but it's also about potentially misleading sales, promotion data, and leaning into that urgency factor that potentially isn't there. So creating fake urgency. And low trust selling behavior. So think back to snake oil salesmen and things that aren't genuine and are just pushing for that sale regardless of whether or not that consumer is making the right decision and an educated decision, and whether or not it's going to be harmful to the brand overall. Thank you, Larissa. So they want professionalized commerce. So they're really taking care with their infrastructure now. They're now thinking about, okay, how do we make this scalable? How do we make sure that the brands are protected, that the creators are doing what they're supposed to do, and it doesn't just become a free-for-all? So we talked about obviously the creator health system. There's also obviously the health systems built into the brand side of things. The compliance scoring, again, are they always compliant? What percentage are they at? So on and so forth. Creator education tools. So this is something we've talked about on the brand side frequently, making sure that we're educating creators on our products, our brands, how to sell them, what to say, things to avoid, and making sure that they have what they need. TikTok Shop is doing the exact same thing within their TikTok University. They are putting out a large volume of content to educate creators and make sure that they are set up for success regardless of the brands that they're working with, and just how to really succeed within the channel, which is very important. If creators are succeeding, brands are succeeding. And that's ultimately what TikTok Shop wants. And then quality-based visibility signals. Oh, sorry. Larissa, you got ahead of me there. All good though. Winning creators now are focusing on building that deep audience trust, driving repeat purchase behavior, not just these one-off sales, maintaining clean account health. So they're doing things by the book to the best of their abilities, and they're converting consistently over time. So they're having less of these spikes where they have one viral moment and then they plummet, and then they don't really do much from there. Creating authentic product experiences. Again, we've talked about this from the brand side of things, but we want the content to be authentic. We don't want it to feel forced. The connections that creators are now making with consumers is based off of trust, likability, relatability, and that goes a long way with the content that they produce for brands. And then the snowball effect of that brand being able to use that content on more channels than just TikTok Shop. So these authentic experiences are valuable, very, very valuable. Thank you, Larissa. So the winning affiliate model has changed. We touched on this a little bit in previous conversations, but the old approach, and this is the easiest way to explain it, is just mass outreach without any specific goals for it. So send 5,000 samples and hope something hits. That's taking a lot of chances. That's a lot of product cost. You still are going to want volume, but you're going to want it to be smart volume. So the volume only strategies where you're just mass accepting sample requests, maybe you have it turned on automatically, they create a lot of noise. They're burning through your budgets, and they're really leaving you as a brand without a repeatable system. All you can see is that you've sunk the product cost, the shipping cost, etc., into 5,000 samples, and you don't have anything to show for it. That's frustration, and that's going to probably make you lose hope in the channel, which the channel is still very, very successful and worth investing into. You just have to invest into it in a smart, repeatable, and scalable way. So what this looks like now from, 6 months ago, a year ago, is leaning into the affiliate infrastructure. So creating this tiered creator system, having scorecards attached to it. So you internally on the brand side understand, is this a good creator? Is this a bad creator? What metrics are you looking for when evaluating new partnerships based on the ones that are currently successful? SOP-driven onboarding and seeding workflows. This is incredibly important. If you can't explain to a new member of your team how something is done and you don't have the documentation to back it up, that is not a scalable and repeatable workflow. So making sure that everything is documented and you have a playbook that you yourself are using is very, very important. And this, it's a bit of a no-brainer, but I have to mention it, is the conversion tracking and creator CRM. Yes, inside TikTok Shop, you are going to have your CRM. You're going to have information there, but you're also going to want to be able to dig deeper into that data. Use your creator network that you're building. And if you haven't started building your creator network, definitely recommend starting that now and having the foundation laid so you can query your data. You know exactly who's driving what results for you. You know what that persona looks like. You're able to really dive in and then take that information to your outreach team and be able to reach out to new creators that also match that. And you're able to just use data-backed decision making. And then the retention systems and paid amplification loops. This is very important. You want to be able to incentivize your creators long-term. You want to be able to retain them. So having that back and forth with them, this is what's working, this isn't what's working. Here's how to do better, as well as tie that to incentives. So if they get to a certain level, do they get increased commissions? Do they get a flat rate payout? Make sure that they have long-term goals with you that are achievable and excite them. And I see here that, Alana, you have a question. How do you enact this system when your brand is still low GMV on TikTok Shop? We don't see acceptance for our top tier creators due to low GMV. Great question. So this is one that I will actually answer now because it is something that a lot of brands, especially when they're new to the platform, are seeing. It's how do you attract these top creators? How do you attract these people that have higher GMV, that they're probably working within your vertical, and you want to be able to actually attract them and make them want to work with you? So a couple of things. You want to make sure that your outreach to them gives them some incentive. If you know you don't have a lot of GMV on your shop yet, but potentially you have a D2C website, you're in retail, you're investing a lot in other channels and you have revenue that is being driven across other channels, you can tell them that. You don't have to get into specifics, but if you are a well-known name in the retail space, D2C space, what have you, you can let them know that you're brand new to the channel, you're gearing up, and people know you. You can tell them what you're investing. So, for instance, the creator incentives, I highly recommend in your outreach, you actually say, for our first month, we have $5,000 in, competition and prizes and incentives. Sign up now. If it is a creator that you absolutely want to entice, offer them a higher commission, get them on a different tiered program, and figure out what's going to drive them by just testing it out. So that's just something that I would touch on there. And I'll answer just a piggyback question there with Nicole. Do you see success in paying a few flat fee creators to get over those initial GMV humps? So from the communication and partnerships that we have with our creators, we've actually heard from them that it's less about the flat fees and more about the increased commissions and having a glide path to additional opportunities. So if a creator comes back to you and says, hey, I want, $1,000 and I'll post for you, you really have to weigh the pros and the cons there. Are they generating GMV for a competitor? Is it going to be something that they can actually create repeatable, high quality content for you, in which case it might be worth it? Or are you going to be gambling and you don't actually know if they're going to work? I would highly recommend testing out the higher commissions first, offering them any exclusives, getting them onto a VIP program with you. So that way they're more connected to your brand. It just depends on where you are in your growth cycle and realistically what you can invest without necessarily getting a guaranteed ROI back on that. All right. I'll get back to the workshop here, but these are really, really great questions. And we'll continue answering some throughout as well as at the end. So this is the new creator flywheel. We've talked about this again on workshops, but I'll just give a quick, brief overview. You want to recruit the aligned creators. This is then going to flywheel into amplifying that winning creator content. And this is typically going to come from your GMV max ads. So you're going to put ad dollars behind this content. It's then going to lift them up even higher, increase their earning potential, but also increase, obviously, the GMV coming in for the brand. You're then going to be able to identify your new top creators and your top converters. You're going to take those insights from that content, from those creators, feed it back into your system, and the process begins again. So it never ends. You're never really going to get to a point where you say, oh, I'm going to stop outreach. I'm going to stop looking for top creators. I'm going to stop incentivizing new creators to join our program. It's sort of this constant and consistent loop. And then there's different layers to this where if you're then using that content off platform, you're then able to incentivize those creators in a different way. And that's where you start unlocking a lot more deeper partnerships, a lot more opportunities for the brand as well as the creator. Thank you, Larissa. So going back to this old model and sort of this artificial scale, it is becoming a liability. So TikTok has consistently, and we believe will continue to crack down on these low quality tactics that used to work for early growth. The play used to be if you could flood the algorithm with a ton of content, regardless of quality, that realistically you would be successful. Realistically, I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? They're now cracking down on this. So the low quality affiliate spam, which we've touched on, the junk products and deceptive selling, this is something they're very much cracking down on. And this is going to come by way of, your shop performance score, whether or not you have a high degree of returns, a high degree of negative reviews. These things are all stuff that they're going to continue cracking down on, and which is why it's so important for new shops starting up that they're doing things right and that they're really putting their best foot forward and making sure that the trust is built in from the beginning. On the creator side, the repetitive content and duplicate hooks. Talk to a lot of brands that have done the volume play, have gotten hundreds, 700, 800, 900, thousands of pieces of content, and they're excited, and GMV Max is not firing. They're unable to get delivery on those pieces of content using their ads, and it's because the content's all the same. Typically, this is going to be because they gave a very strict guideline to creators on what to post, how to post, what to say. And so they've effectively gotten 700 pieces of content with the exact same script, with the exact same directions, and it's just not delivering because it is all the same. It's low quality, and that is the perception that the algorithm is going to have. So it's just not going to serve it. And then the short-term conversion tactics. I think we've all seen the content where it's just nothing but buy now, buy now, buy now. It's on sale. Go do this, go do that. And you have to do it right now. That's going to fall on deaf ears. That's not going to get you effective conversions that you're able to scale. It's just going to create this trap of low quality content that you can't use off channel, and that the algorithm does not want to put ad dollars behind. So these are the things that they're cracking down on, and we are seeing this in real time with the brands that we work with, the brands that we talk to, and it is affecting everyone. The brands that are winning are the ones that are evolving. So they're not relying on this mass creator spray and pray. They are not relying on discounts only to move the needle. They're focusing on the conversion of their shop and making sure that that is set up well, not just for creators, but also for consumers to convert and purchase from their shop. And then the low trust offers at scale. Again, if you've ever seen an offer and you thought this is too good to be true, this has to be a scam, I'm going to get a printout of this product rather than the product itself, that type of content is not going to fly. And thankfully, TikTok Shop is cracking down on it and prioritizing that quality at scale, which is the scale is still important. Oh, this is, I have to answer this one question from Nicole. This is another struggle we have as well. There's certain videos that just don't align with our brand standards, and we have very clear briefs, but know we also need to be in GMV Max to see success. So I've talked a lot about this, and I will continue to talk a lot about this. The way you win with content now is not providing these very strict briefs that handcuff the creators. Trust goes both ways. You're trusting the creator to make good content, and they are trusting you to allow them to make that good content and to be their real authentic selves. So give them the one pager, give them the information that they need to succeed, but don't give them a script. Give them a couple different angles that you know are working well, and give them the list of things that they can't say, or if there's an approved claim, for instance, if you're a health product, supplements, skincare, etc., and there's a very specific claim that you can say, have that in there, but allow some freedom for them to really rise above. How you combat that on the front end is when you're going through the sampling process, have a not super strict, but have some guardrails as far as who you wouldn't say yes to. So do they have a high post rate? You want to make sure that's at least like 80%, because then you know at least they're going to post with the sample. Have a quick look if you're unsure based on their stats, if they're low GMV, if you're not quite sure. Look at the videos that they've posted in the past. Are they all that, hey, go buy this, it's on sale? Do they actually post about products in your vertical in a trustworthy way? In which case you can probably trust them to do the same for you, but just don't put the handcuffs on them, and have some guardrails set up for you and your team, whoever is approving these, whoever's doing the outreach. It will help you get much better content out of the creators in these relationships. So I'll cover this very quickly because this is something that we've talked about sort of as a through line through everything here, which is TikTok is optimizing for trust signals. It absolutely is. So the viewer trust, so creator product fit and authentic recommendation is so important for visibility on this platform and long-term retention. If you are a skincare brand or a makeup brand and you're partnering with a mechanic who has never used a beauty product in his life, but he just signed up for a free sample and got it, that's not going to be an authentic recommendation. It's not going to feel like it fits. So you're going to want to really prioritize that and prioritize the repeat buying. So repeat buyers are what's going to make the difference between a one-hit wonder and a scalable business on TikTok Shop for your brand. So successful orders and returning customer signal ecosystem sustainability. This is 100% true. And you're going to want to make sure in the back end, you're able to send emails, you're able to send DMs, sorry. You're going to want to make sure that you're speaking to customers. And if, for instance, they purchase, I'll use the example of a shoe brand. If they purchase a particular style of shoe, if they purchase a specific color, you're launching a brand new product, a brand new colorway, email them, let them know. You can create sustainable retention on this channel. It's important to do so. Content quality, I think I've talked about this a lot this call, but it just comes back to that real alignment between creator and product. Is it believable? That is what's going to convert, and that's what's going to allow you to identify those top creators for your brand. So TikTok Shop is bigger than TikTok Shop. I've mentioned a couple of times, and this is something that with running our unified service is my baby. And that is using TikTok Shop content off platform and thinking about it instead of it being in its own silo and being the only ecosystem, is thinking about TikTok Shop as part of your broader business as a whole. The GMV is wonderful. We absolutely want that. You want to have profitability on this channel, absolutely. But you can also think of it as a couple of different things. It can be your discovery engine. So it can be where new customers first hear about you. It can bring awareness, which ultimately that can increase your brand search on Google. It can increase your audience size that you're able to target on Meta. It can bring new people to you that maybe aren't purchasing on TikTok Shop, but it's allowing them to actually know your brand and have that awareness. Your creative testing lab, this is absolutely probably my favorite part of TikTok Shop, is it is telling you what content is going to convert. It is telling you what the winners are. So instead of, old school testing on Meta where you have to trial things out, pull different levers, you can take winning content that has already been proven, take that into your other marketing, and it's going to realistically result in a higher test output, if you want to call it that, than your usual standard UGC trial and error. It can also be your customer acquisition layer. So this is obviously something that we talked about with, we want conversions, we want GMV. It can be a very, very, very powerful channel for just plain sales, which is fantastic. Demand generation, absolutely. And retail awareness accelerator. So this is something that we get asked about a lot, and that is whether or not retail dominant brands should be on TikTok Shop. It's not one size fits all, but absolutely. We see this all the time where retail dominant brands join TikTok Shop and they'll have sales. It'll be great. They get a ton of new content that they can use. However, they do, hearing from their retail partners, get a lot of reports of increased foot traffic. If your product is widely available and less expensive in a retail place than it is on TikTok Shop, so think Target, think Walmart, CVS, etc., people are going to shop where they're most comfortable. So you will find probably an increase in foot traffic from TikTok Shop. And so this is what I sort of touched on just now. So in the interest of time, Larissa, I'll get you to skip past this, but it's really about what are we using to measure success on the channel? Are you just looking at the GMV, or are you also looking at the levers this allows you to pull? Are you getting proven content at scale that you can then use across other platforms? Are you building creator relationships that go past TikTok Shop? So for instance, are you able to enter into whitelisting agreements with these creators to be able to use their content and put it through their profile on Meta? Are you building trust that is actually going to be the tide that lifts the entire ship that is your business? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself when looking at just GMV on the channel. Looking at just ROAS isn't going to tell you the full picture. The halo effect is compounded over time. Thank you, Larissa. So this ties into what I was just talking about, which is the old KPIs, ROAS, CAC, GMV spikes, viral reach. These are things that aren't going to give you necessarily the scalable, profitable growth that you're looking for, and they're not going to tell you the entire picture. If you're only focusing on these metrics, so for instance, I'll use ROAS as the perfect example and GMV paired with that. If you're not seeing success on TikTok Shop by way of you're not seeing the GMV that you're expecting, you're not getting the return on ad spend that you were looking for, it doesn't appear profitable, and you're only looking at it through a silo, it'll absolutely look like a failed test. It will look like a failed sales channel that you tried to get up and running and it didn't work. If you take things back to the 3,000-foot view and you look at, well, did we see an increase in our D2C performance? Did we see an increase in organic traffic that we can't attribute back to any of our other marketing? Did we see an increase in foot traffic in retail? Did we see an increase in Amazon sales that, again, we cannot attribute to anything else that we were doing differently? TikTok Shop as a touch point is incredibly valuable. So think about your business as a whole, not just the sum of its parts. So the new ecosystem KPIs, again, this halo effect, looking at everything as a whole. Specifically for TikTok Shop, what does that look like? Creator density and retention, conversion consistency, repeat purchase rate, content efficiency, and the search lift and halo effect, and customer quality score. So really diving in and understanding the full picture of how TikTok Shop fits within everything else that you're doing in your greater ecosystem is going to be so much more impactful. So a couple of actionable steps for you leaving this workshop. Stop optimizing just for creator quantity. If you leave this with nothing else, putting a greater focus on quality is going to, short and long term, be a greater benefit to you than just sending out more samples. So pair that creator quality with the volume. You're still going to want to sample. You are still going to want to get, as many at-bats as possible, but you're going to want to make sure that you're prioritizing quality. I would rather send 200 samples to vetted creators than 500 to low quality creators that I'm just giving first come, first serve, whoever applies. Trust over reach is very, very important. Have that credible creator make beautiful content for you that you're going to be able to use across channels. That is going to be more impactful for you. The conversion consistency over viral spikes. Scalable, consistent growth is not going to come from getting lucky once and not being able to build on it. So build those very scalable systems internally and capitalize on that over just looking to get lucky once on the channel. The retention over one-time campaigns. Yes, you want to build these relationships with the creators and you want to make sure that consistently they're getting better, your content is getting better, and you're able to scale and grow. And this just ties in with the long-term relationships. You want to build with creators. Creators can be incredibly loyal. I've used this example before, but we hear it quite often where a creator that maybe isn't doing a ton of GMV yet, a brand believes in them, they incentivize them, they're consistently making content, they start generating GMV, and then they're connected to that brand because they started with them. The competitor comes to them and says, hey, we're going to offer you more. We hear it all the time where the creator is actually going to stay loyal to the brand that they grew with. And that relationship is just going to deepen and you're going to get more out of it. So what I would leave with here is the quote that I have at the bottom, and that's just balanced network with even a small group of elite creators now outperforms massive low quality affiliate armies. And something I want to clarify here, your elite creators, elite for you can be a mix of this creator understands our brand and is constantly putting forward content that I know is going to crush and is going to really align with the brand, our sentiment, and what we believe in. And then it could also mean as well, if you're looking for just high GMV creators, they can also be part of your elite network. So it needs to be a balance of both. You're going to still have creators in the mix that they're not doing a whole lot. Maybe they're not making great content, in which case, all right, I know who I don't want to work with anymore with it, which is equally as valuable, in my opinion. So where does this start? If you don't have one of these already, take a screenshot. Yes, you'll be able to get this presentation afterwards as well. but create an internal creator scoring system. You have to understand what's working for you. You have to understand what's not, and then be able to apply that logic on both sides of the fence to new creators coming in and how you're going to evaluate their performance. So number one, yes, GMB per creator. Very important. You want to understand what they're making. What are they making for you? What are they making for others? What are they making for others within your category? The refund rate. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that you cannot avoid, is you're going to have creators that put out bad quality content and you have a high refund rate because of it. You want to make sure that you understand what refund rate you find acceptable, and make sure that you work with creators on coaching on how to reduce that. Make sure that they are actually promoting your product and using claims and selling it in a way that makes sense and isn't setting up consumers for failure, thinking that they're getting one thing and they're getting something else, in which case they're going to refund. This does hurt both you and the creator. So this is absolutely a win-win to make sure that they understand what they can't say, and that there's guardrails in place for that. The compliance health. So their creator health rating, understanding that score, understanding their violations, understanding where they stand in the platform is very, very helpful. You want to understand, can I trust this person? Do I want to work with this person? And very surface level, when it comes to sampling, is just looking at their posting rate. That can be very, very helpful. So highly recommend including that part of your guardrails or the criteria that your team is using in order to vet these creators. The conversion efficiency, you want to be able to measure, and this is after the fact, after they post. Their views to order ratio is very important. Some people make really compelling content that people just click through to. They have no interest in the product, but it's a very maybe skit style of content. It's humorous. Maybe they're not really sure what product they're even pitching. So they'll click through and you'll see a high click-through rate and a low conversion, even if your product card and your actual product itself on TikTok Shop has a high conversion metric. So that's just something to be aware of as well. And repeatability. Can they convert across products, or is it just a one-hit wonder? So if you have a creator that absolutely crushes on shoes, for instance, but you also sell purses, being able to see, can they do both? Or are you going to have to split it out and be able to evaluate that way? So building out your creator scoring system, so very important. And then just building the evergreen creator infrastructure. So winning brands operate with the following, and I touched on this a little bit, but so important. Do you have the affiliate SOPs and structured creator briefs? Do you have the foundation laid? If not, it's never too late to start, but I highly suggest getting that ready before you launch, or once you start having some data and you need to be able to scale and scale quickly. Onboarding systems and offer frameworks, making sure that you're onboarding your creators. Once they send the sample, are you getting them into your own network? Are you establishing a way of communicating with them that is outside of TikTok Shop? We use WhatsApp, some use Discord, but just making sure that you have that system very clean, very ironed out. Your testing pipeline and amplification systems. So this is important. Do you know, once you have this content, how you're actually going to amplify it? Is that going to be with GMV Max? Is your team trained on that? Is there anything that you need to be aware of that potentially you don't want to amplify a certain creator's content? Are there creators that you're going to want to have mass authorization on, so that way you get used to all content that they post automatically and you don't have to worry about uploading spark codes? These are the things that you just have to be aware of. And then how are you going to retain and engage the creators? Are you only going to offer incentives for the first month, but then not following? How are you going to incentivize them for those long-term relationships? How are you going to communicate with them so they want to continue working with you? Make sure that these are the things that your brand has, something that we put in place for all of our clients, and it's one of those non-negotiables, in my opinion. And then this is probably, again, my baby, just because I oversee the TikTok Shop into D2C. Use TikTok Shop Creative as your creative fuel. Use this as the gasoline that gets you from point A to point B and all the way to point Z as quickly as possible. Using the content in your meta ads, your Amazon PDPs, landing pages, email, your retail decks, using whitelisting. These are all of the things that you should be thinking about. And we use a tool, and I highly recommend everyone use it. Check it out, and that is Refunnel. It allows for easy one-click usage rights requests as well as whitelisting requests. You're already investing into the channel. You're already investing into pieces of content being made by way of the sample, shipping, commission rates. You absolutely do not want to leave opportunity and money on the table by not using that content elsewhere. So get usage rights to that content. Get whitelisted rights to your content that is proven from a GMV perspective, from creators that you want to have deep partnerships with. Use that content across all of your channels, and you will see that lift, that halo effect, a lot more drastically. And lastly, and this is me repeating myself, but they say you have to say something 7 times sometimes before it's completely understood, and that is just prioritizing the trust heavy creative. Again, what is TikTok Shop rewarding today, right now, and will continue to reward, probably a lot more systematized too, is the authenticity and honest storytelling. The specificity, that is going to be a hard one for me to say today, guys, and product demonstrations. Is the creator actually showing what the product does, how it looks, how it feels? Are they giving an authentic retelling of that? Or is it just pure mystery that someone's buying a product and they don't really understand what it does or how it's supposed to be used, in which case they're going to be dissatisfied with their purchase? Are you creating social proof and having real expertise behind it? So is this content that you can actually use elsewhere that's going to boost additional trust signals and your credibility, or is it just more noise? And then the community trust signals ties in with that. What's losing visibility? Gimmicks and fake urgency. Recycled hooks and duplicate creative. Again, is it the same piece of content over and over and over again, and it's just a different person saying it? And over-scripted sales content. We've all seen content where they're just reading off a screen, they're reading a script. You know they don't use the product. They can't even say the name of it right. They have to look at the packaging to be able to tell you what the name of it is. That's not real. That's not authentic. They want authentic recommendations, authentic behavior, real storytelling, not this performance optimized selling. So that's just something that, again, number one takeaway from this. Closing, they are entering its new era. They are going to continue with the crackdowns. They are going to continue building out systems that prioritize quality over quantity. And I believe in what we've talked about here today is that they're also putting that on creators. So it's not just all on the brands. And this is going to open up a lot of opportunity across the board for brands, creators, and we will keep you guys posted on everything that is coming up next. So we do have a few minutes here to go through some of the questions that we have. So I'm going to just scroll to the top a little bit here. I love seeing an active chat channel, so thank you guys for throwing in all of these questions. All right, so I'm going to take a note out of Jordan's book and put the questions on screen here. So GMV Max likes to put ad spend behind the spammy discount 5-second videos. I didn't read it fast enough. Do you have any advice on that? Would love to know. So I would ask Trisha, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, whether or not you are giving creative briefs and whether or not you have more content going into your GMV Max than just those pieces of content. If all you have to work with are videos that are all very similar like that, GMV will take what it can get. But what I would do is start prioritizing the story-laden content that still is driving conversions, but test, have some creators make slightly longer form content, have some that hit different parts of the funnel, and see if you get a different result that way. You can also suppress certain videos. So if there are videos that you're like, this isn't actually giving me the ROI, the scaling that I need, but it's all it wants to show, suppress that video. So that way you're able to gently nudge it in the right direction. Great question, though.
Oh, geez.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I've been answering your questions in the chat, and then one of the new messages said, oh, did this end? And it looked like the stream got cut off. So terribly sorry about that. Not sure what happened there. So I totally apologize for that stream. We will make sure that we continue on and answer any questions. Please feel free to comment on the live stream on any of the social channels that you're watching on. Comment any of the questions that you have, and we'll make sure that we answer them there. I am so sorry. Jordan is never going to let me do another one of these. So I'm not sure what happened there, but hopefully you guys were able to hear most of what we covered. I will cover just sort of the last question there, which is, if you were going to hire the role of leading all of this in-house, what would the title of this person be? Honestly, and this is just from us having done this from start to finish, from TikTok Shop betas in its infancy to now, internally, if you're looking for a person to manage everything, depending on the size of your brand, that might be something that you can do short term, in which case you're going to want to hire someone that has experience across the gambit of TikTok Shop. You can, if you're looking at an internal resource and thinking that you can train them on TikTok Shop, you can, but if you're already live, I would recommend hiring someone specifically on the more shop operations side, who would be, for instance, shop ops that understands how to optimize, how to set up a shop, can handle all of the back end, and that includes your affiliate outreach, your affiliate sampling, so on and so forth. You are able to take that person. I think it's a little bit easier sometimes to train them also as a community manager to communicate to your creators, so long as they are a really in-depth communicator, they understand what you're looking for, and they understand how to make a creator feel special. That can be a transferable skill. Oftentimes, though, I do recommend that you have several team members, so someone that is responsible for the more technical elements, so the shop optimizations, listing, shop health checks, so on and so forth, and then have a separate team member that handles outreach, the sampling, and creator management. There are 110 things that have to happen on a daily basis for a TikTok shop to be successful. And they're not all sexy, they're not all fun, but it does add up very quickly. So one thing I would say, if you're looking to hire one internal resource, I would actually look at, does this make sense to have one full-time person in a particular role and maybe a part-time in another full-time, just because it is going to get too much too quick for one person, and there's going to be certain balls that do get dropped when you begin scaling, and you want to make sure that you have that infrastructure ahead of that scaling. In terms of, oh, sorry, someone was jumping in with your name there, Carissa or Larissa. One thing that I would say, just as far as like the title, you could just call it like, TikTok Shop Manager. If you're looking for someone that handles everything, TikTok Shop Strategist, TikTok Shop Ops Coordinator. It's really dependent on what your internal structure looks like. Oh, that was a great question. So I'll end on this one with Maddie asking, what are the people and roles that you recommend a brand has for TikTok Shop? Honestly, and I'll tell you what we have on our team that every single one of our clients gets access to. So you have the brains of the operation, and this is going to be the strategist, someone who understands the nitty-gritty, the execution, what needs to be done, but they also understand the platform and the strategy and how that relates to the greater brand goals. You need to have a captain of the ship who steers the direction. So you're going to need to have a strategist. This could also be like a brand manager, depending on the structure of your org currently. Under them, you're going to want your execution team. So you absolutely need to have that shop ops person that I mentioned, checking compliance, making sure things are actually set up correctly on the shop. You're going to want your sampling and outreach manager. So this is going to be the person that handles vetting creators, as well as all of the outreach to get them into the pool so that they can vet them for samples. You want to have a community manager. So it's not just back and forth questions and giving ChatGPT answers. It needs to be someone who understands how creators operate, how to coach them, how to get more from them, rise, uplift, as well as answer any of those sort of less than sexy, nitty gritty questions. You're also going to want to have a partial access to a graphic designer or someone on your team that is able just to make sure that the listing images, that the creator briefs are beautiful, aesthetic, and primed for conversion. So these are sort of some of the non-negotiable roles that we have internally, as well as additional resources such as a dedicated media buyer. It's very important that once you have that content, you're able to scale it, especially in the beginning. Investing in ads is going to be most brands' path to success. So you are going to have to put some focus on that. These are some really, really great questions. Yeah, Maddie, we have approximately 7 to 8 people, depending on size of brands, but we have very specialized roles. So that way everything does get done and you're not, for instance, prioritizing what gets done for your brand when everything has to get done. So absolutely great question there. Thank you so much, guys. Apologies for that technical glitch. We'll figure out what happened there, but hopefully this all came through for you. Thank you for your participation, wonderful questions, and allowing me to be Pretend Jordan for today. Really, really appreciated it. And David, absolutely. Thank you. I'm getting a lot of compliments today, guys. That's making me happy, especially with the technical issues that we were having. If you want to work with us, go to socialcommerceclub.com. You'll be able to chat with a member of our team and check out some of our fantastic case studies. Thank you, Larissa, putting in our contact information. If you want to work with us, come on over. But definitely keep an eye out on Jordan's socials. He's always posting some of the amazing work that we're doing, as well as some problems and some solutions that we're facing, that clients are facing. So TikTok Shop is a heck of a wild beast, but you're not alone in it. And you're in good company here at Social Commerce Club. So thank you so much, guys. Have the wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Thank you.